Hello there, my name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee. Now, okay, a bit of a personal sew today. These are 3D glasses. Now, every time I go to the cinema, we end up buying new 3D glasses because they're scratched, we can't find them, or whatever reason, really. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a 3D glasses case. Now what I'm doing now is I'm placing a layer of wadding in between a concertinaed fabric. Now the reason I'm doing that, if I just sew it all with wadding, then it's going to be too thick. But if I do it this way, I've got the protection I need for the glasses, and I've got thin enough to actually make use of. Now, I am using the flat line here as my guide and the stripes of my fabric to do the fold. So I'm folding once and then I'm inserting a layer of wadding, yeah? So if you see it from this side, you can see wadding each side, and if you see it on this side, there's no wadding. Now there are other ways of doing this. I could just do a line of stitches just to keep everything in place every couple of inches or so, but I'm choosing to do it this way, and I'm choosing to give myself loads and loads of wastage. I know that doesn't make any sense, but when you're doing something quite small and fiddly, then you can, you have the choice. So I know I've got this laid out as neatly as possible, and see, no loose bits, and the other side had loads of wadding. Now what I'm going to do is place a pin in one end, and the other end I'm literally just going to slide underneath the sewing machine and do probably best described as tacking stitches. Now I've got all the layers in there, and I've got as close to the edge as possible, but what I'm going to do is I am going to, when I sew the outer lining on, make sure that I have got these covered, so they're not going to show. But because of I'm going to be sewing sort of inside out, as it were, what I don't want is it to all fall apart. So they're nice and secure, and there's no pin there now, so I know that they're going to stay put. Okay, my outer lining, I know it's beautiful fabric, isn't it? The inside, so with the blunt edges, pull that down slightly. Actually, I might make sure my circles are in the middle. What a good thing to do. So circles are in the middle. So if I pull it down a bit, then I can make use of both circles. Yes, sorry, I'm flapping and talking to myself. It's not good. And then my wadding on top. I know. So I'm going to now sew around here, but I'm going to leave a turning around hole. Oh, that's a shame. I'm going to have to trim off one edge of one circle. Oh, that's not fair. Now it's really up to you, as many pins as you feel would work. Yeah? Pin away. So. Now what I want to do is I want to sew straight line, but I want to not catch this, as it were. I want to just sew the other side. And I'm not worried about the fact that my wadding is not right up to my corners. So I'm sewing now, just about to start going over the lining. And making sure that those stitches are in. And what I'll probably do is I'll turn it inside out. I'll just check the other side, just to check that I've got everything that I feel I need. Yeah, I know. Let's not be polite about this. Yes. Okay, so I'm sewing again. Now all this excess cloth I'm actually going to trim off, but I'm not going to trim it off till I've sewed it, because, you know, there's so much that I've got to keep in position that I just feel that it's a bad thing to do. Now the reason I'm sewing the wadding on the top is if it gets jammed in my foot, it's going to be quite easy for me to unjam. If worst case scenario I have to throw a foot away, then I can get another one off eBay. But if I sewed it the other way around, then and it got jammed in my feet, oh, what amount of trouble will I be in? So let's get rid of that pin, take it out of the sewing machine, and now what I'm going to do is, once I've double checked that everything is in the right place and that I have got my line sewn in there, I'm going to trim it. Might be better if I trim it from the other side, and then we can all see what I'm doing. So, I don't want too much wadding in my seams. They look really chunky, really bulky, and they just really look bad. So this is just the outer lining that I'm trimming here. I'm going to turn it over and check that I've got my pockets, for want of a better word, in as well. So we're left with quite a neat little bundle. This is just going to go inside out in the red fabric and the lining, not just the wadding. And then fingers crossed, I will have a flap, a row of pockets, and then another flap. Okay, so ideally this will be tucked down and this will be tucked over, and there's a lot to be said for giving yourself loads of room. How many pockets did we do? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pairs of glasses. That's probably going to be that thick, isn't it? So I want it as flexible as possible. Now for my, I could trim this as well. I'm rebelling. Okay, so what I've done is just pushed it in with my fingers. I'm going to wiggle it so that I'm not sewing through the bow. Sorry, the circle. And I'm going to tuck in my red lining. There we go. And of course, pins are good. Pins are your friend. Let's not be mean with the pins. So here we are, I've got my elastic. Now how you fasten it is up to you. When I was deciding to do this sew, I was thinking about just tying a ribbon, sewing a ribbon in, and then we could tie the ribbon round. I'm actually going to use elastic because it's going to be a flexible width. if that makes any sense. So what I've got is a fold of elastic, and I'm going to place that in there, and I might treat myself to a whole new pin. Just line it up by eye. Of course we could get a measure, a tape measure, although because I've made scraps, the right or wrong of it is I've got no idea of the size. All I know is that I can put my glasses in there, and they won't be damaged. So once I'm happy, I'm going to put it in the sewing machine. Sorry, my slipper's fallen off. Oh, how tragic. So, I'm just going to place my finger where the elastic was and remove the pin. And then hopefully I can just sew through. I give it a little tug just to check that it's in the right place, and then when I come up to the other seam, I'm just going to fiddle with it. I suppose the advantage of this, with my clashing pink elastic, is that cinemas are usually quite dark, so nobody's going to see it, but I needed it done. So because I've got the elastic, I can put the button there, and it can stretch round for when this is all filled up, because I'm going to buy new glasses and then that's done. And ideally I sew a button on it. Oh, that's really clashy. Do we like that? I like it. I like it. Okay, thank you ever so much for watching. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee. I know, a bit of an odd make, and I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope you can kind of think of something that you could use this for, other than 3D glasses. Alright, thank you. Have a lovely weekend.